May I leave? Great. I'm happy. Kevin, let's get ready right away.
What? What's with that attitude?
Exactly. It's rude to seem so happy. It'll be unforgivable even if you apologize later.
Not at all. Thank you. I'll finally be free. My name is Kathy. I'm currently a housewife, living with my husband's family. After getting married, I continued working for a while, but my mother-in-law broke her bone and needed care. My friends sympathize with me, saying it's tough. But I don't see it that way. I've been indebted to my mother-in-law since before marriage, and we get along very well in the first place. We get along better than with my own mother, and she talks to me like a friend. So, I'm genuinely happy to be able to help my mother-in-law. Besides, I enjoy housework. So, I think being a housewife suits me better than working outside. But I have two worries. One is about my husband, Kevin. Kevin seems to be busy with work lately, often coming home around midnight. He sleeps a lot even on holidays, so I'm worried about his health. I want to make lots of nutritious food and support him. And the other worry is much more serious. My father-in-law and my high school sister-in-law, who live together, lie all the time. My father-in-law and sister-in-law keep saying I'm a bad wife. For example, when my father-in-law goes for his daily walk, he tells the neighbors,
Kathy is a bad wife who doesn't do any housework and sleeps all day.
It seems my sister-in-law also says things like,
I do all the housework.
when she meets neighbors on her way to and from school.
I wake up early in the morning to cook breakfast. Then, I do all the household chores before going to school, wash the bathtub, and when I come back from school, I cook and clean again until just before I go to bed. My brother's wife is like a demon, so I'm scared.
Is that so? That's tough. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know.
Thank you. But if she finds out I'm telling others about it, I'll get in even more trouble. I'm fine, so just cheer me on.
I overheard conversations like this between my sister-in-law and the neighbors while the window screen was open. In reality, I do all the housework and even make lunch for my sister-in-law. But if there's something she doesn't like in her lunchbox, she won't eat it and will complain, so I'm very careful. But for some reason, my father-in-law and sister-in-law seem to enjoy telling lies like these. They frequently talk to neighbors about how hard they're trying or about me, the bad wife. There are many people who have lived around here for a long time, and my father-in-law and sister-in-law know many of them.
They wouldn't lie. It seems they really got a bad daughter-in-law. Kevin was a good kid, too. It seems tough.
Yeah. Poor thing. I wonder if there are a lot of difficult people among those who come from outside.
I know that I'm being talked about like this. But since I'm going to live here from now on, I don't want to stay misunderstood. One day, when I went shopping at the nearby supermarket, I noticed that people around were whispering.
Oh, that person is the rumored bad daughter-in-law.
She is the one who makes the high schooler Mary do the housework.
That's right.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
It's nice weather today, isn't it? So I couldn't just run away. I initiated a greeting with the neighbors. They probably didn't expect me to approach them. They seemed a little flustered but greeted me with a smile.
Are you shopping today?
Yes. Well, I cook for 5 people every meal, so it's a lot of groceries and I have to go shopping almost every day. Look, all these groceries piled up.
Oh, really? I guess it must be tough just shopping. And, other housework must be tough too, right?
Yes, cleaning, laundry, it's all tough. But I can manage because it's for my family.
I see. Housewives have it tough. But, doesn't anyone in your household help out?
My husband has been busy lately. My mother-in-law broke her bone and is busy with rehabilitation now. My sister-in-law is a high schooler and has friends. And my father-in-law is, from a different generation.
Ah, I see. I can't imagine your father-in-law doing housework. Mary also comes home late, so it's impossible for her to do housework.
That's right. Both can't do it. Oh, sorry in front of you.
Not at all. It's the truth. By the way, was there something about our household chores?
No, nothing like that. Right?
Yes, never mind.
The two of them hurriedly left, but this should clear up any misunderstandings. If rumors spread from those two, there won't be any more misunderstandings. Even without that, neighbors should understand when they see me going shopping every day. But it wasn't that simple.
Hey, Kathy, what are you saying about me in the neighborhood?
That's right. You can't even interact properly with the neighbors, and you call yourself a housewife?
It seems that the neighbors directly asked my father-in-law and sister-in-law if Kathy was doing all the housework. The two who were lying were embarrassed and angry. But, in reality, I'm the one doing the housework.
What's with the attitude? Despite being a daughter-in-law, you're the wife of this household. Therefore, your achievements in your work are the results of my instruction. In other words, I'm the most important one in the family. You just keep quiet and do the housework.
That's right. I can't believe you're making fun of your family.
It seems that the two of them, even if their lies were exposed to the neighbors, had no intention of reflecting at all. Moreover, they even blamed me for trying to clear up the misunderstanding. I'll have to be a little more careful about how I deal with it. While I was thinking about it, one day, I got an unexpected phone call.
Hello, I'm sorry to call you out of the blue. I'm Brown, Mary's homeroom teacher. There's something I'd like to tell you about her grades.
To me, not to my father-in-law?
Yes, Mary's grades have suddenly dropped. She's a very outstanding student, but it suddenly happened this year. So, I asked if there's anything bothering her.
What did my sister-in-law say?
Well, she cries saying that her sister-in-law makes her do the housework. And she's told to buy sweets at the supermarket while studying. When she refuses, she's yelled at.
I don't do that. I've never said such a thing to my sister-in-law. I hurriedly denied it. I've never told my sister-in-law such a thing even once. The reason for my sister-in-law's dropping grades is that she recently got a boyfriend and has been playing around. I had indeed noticed that she hadn't been studying much lately. But I thought it wasn't my place as her sister-in-law to intervene, so I kept quiet. Seeing me flustered, the homeroom teacher must have found it suspicious and spoke in a stern voice.
Mary is a very excellent student. Yet, she cries saying that she's being made to do housework because she's young.
No, I never did such. It's just because my sister-in-law herself hasn't studied hard recently.
So, You mean that she's lying? It's impossible, right? If this situation continues, I'll visit your home.
The homeroom teacher said only what he wanted to say and then hung up the phone. I was shocked by the unexpected turn of events and remained stunned. I never imagined that I wouldn't be heard like that. Will this kind of thing continue in the future? While the neighbor's misunderstanding was somehow cleared up, it might have been just a stroke of luck. It's tough not being believed by anyone if I'm suspected like this again. No matter how hard I try, I just get scolded by my father-in-law and sister-in-law. I can't endure such an environment. But talking to my mother-in-law is enjoyable, and I want to help her. Besides, despite being troublesome father-in-law and sister-in-law to me, they are Kevin's real family. If I endure it alone, and if Kevin and my mother-in-law are happy, maybe that's better. I shouldn't care about others' opinions, right? After that, I lived with a dark feeling. Even when my father-in-law and sister-in-law made sarcastic remarks, I just brushed them off. My mother-in-law looked worried, but I smiled and pretended everything was fine. On one Saturday, while I was thinking like that, Kevin invited me on a weekend date out of the blue. Though he always looked tired, I went out, thinking it was unusual, and we arrived at the cafe where we often went on dates.
You seem a little different than usual lately. Is something wrong? I'm worried about you, Kathy.
No, nothing's wrong. I'm fine.
But
I couldn't tell Kevin about the complaints from my father-in-law and sister-in-law. I tried to smile and brush it off, but Kevin wouldn't let it go. He patiently asked me, "Well, actually." And then, I finally told Kevin everything. About my father-in-law and sister-in-law lying to the neighbors, and even what my sister-in-law's homeroom teacher had told me.
Kathy, I'm sorry I didn't notice until now. But you don't have to endure it anymore. Let's leave the house right away. We can just ignore Dad and Mary.
But, what about mother-in-law?
Actually, Mom suggested today's plan. I've been busy with work, and Mom said she's more worried about you than herself.
Mother-in-law. I felt warm inside at Kevin and my mother-in-law's kindness. I had thought I had no allies, blamed by the neighbors and my sister-in-law's teacher. But there are two wonderful allies close to me. Thinking so, I felt the strength to fight against my father-in-law and sister-in-law. I immediately told Kevin that I wanted to do what I could before running away, and Kevin nodded with a smile.
Oh, the useless daughter-in-law who doesn't do housework is back. Just let us warm up the leftovers for lunch and you go on your fancy date. Truly, a lazy wife.
Warming up lunch was such a hassle. If I couldn't go to college because my grades dropped from wasting time like that, it would be your fault, sister-in-law.
Dad, Mary, stop saying nonsense. It's too much even for leftovers.
Shut up, big brother. You're hardly ever at home, so don't butt in.
That's right. I'm the most important one in this house.
I was amazed at my father-in-law and sister-in-law immediately complaining as soon as I got back. In the past, I would have just given some vague response. But now, Kevin and my mother-in-law were there. They gave me courage. Kevin works hard for the family even when he's not at home. I believe I contribute through managing the household chores. I don't want to be labeled as a bad wife just because I'm not always at home. I don't want to hear such remarks.
What's with that attitude?
Yeah, exactly. Acting all high and mighty.
It's just normal. Even children can warm up lunch in the microwave. And isn't it a bit much to say it affects exams?
Shut up. Exam takers are delicate. What? You're acting arrogant for a newcomer.
That's right. Acting all high and mighty. If you're going to be that rebellious, then get out.
Father-in-law and sister-in-law didn't seem to like my retorts. They both turned red and were furious. But that was exactly as Kevin and I planned. Eh? Are you really okay with this?
Huh?
It's okay if I leave? Yay, I'm happy. Kevin, let's start packing right away.
What's with that attitude?
Yeah. So rude. How dare you look happy? I won't forgive you even if you apologize later.
It's totally fine. Thank you. I'll finally be free.
What do you mean by being free? Fine, you're not needed here. Pack your things and leave by next weekend.
Father-in-law and sister-in-law seemed adamant about not taking back their words about us leaving. So, with a smile, I told them, well then, I'll be leaving. Of course, I won't be doing any housework from now on, so please make breakfast for everyone, Mary's lunch, and also lunch for father-in-law and mother-in-law yourselves in the morning. And of course, daily cleaning and laundry. Since there's a lot of laundry, please do it at least twice. And of course, shopping, neighborhood activities, and in this season, it's tough to clean the garden, isn't it? When I conveyed just a fraction of the housework I had been doing, their faces turned pale in an instant. It was slightly amusing to see their faces go from red to white in an instant. But even so, they couldn't bring themselves to apologize.
What you've been doing is just simple housework. It's obvious.
That's right. You're just pretending to be busy. You were probably taking naps every day.
Although they were trying to act tough, I didn't have time to deal with it. Kevin and I immediately went back to our room upstairs and started discussing our plans for the future. First, let's quickly move out to a weekly apartment. Once things settle down, we can look for a nice house. It'll cost a bit of money, but it shouldn't be a problem. While we were looking at various property information, we heard a loud noise coming from the kitchen downstairs. They were probably trying to cook something together. It sounded scary what they could make, but it's no longer our concern. After that, as promised, we moved out over the weekend. It seems like Kevin's family has been in trouble since then.
My sister-in-law left without permission and it's troublesome. Hey, can you come over and help with the housework a bit? Just do it quickly in your spare time.
My father-in-law is saying that, but no one believes him anymore.
If you can do it quickly in your spare time, why don't you do it yourself?
He couldn't say anything back to that. Nowadays, they can't even properly do laundry, and they're wearing slightly dirty clothes. It seems like my sister-in-law was saying that the lunches and sweets I made were made by herself. But since I left, those lies were quickly exposed. She got dumped by her boyfriend for lying like that, and even her friends are disgusted with her. It seems like she won't get any leniency from her homeroom teacher either. The homeroom teacher, who found out about my sister-in-law's true nature, called to apologize politely. But since it no longer concerns me, I asked him not to contact me again. I no longer want anything to do with my father-in-law and sister-in-law. Even so, they occasionally contact me.
Hey, you're my daughter-in-law, right? Can you come over and help out a bit at our house? just in your free time.
Hey, I'm your sister-in-law, right? I got dumped by my boyfriend and even my friends are keeping their distance. Help me out. Please.
But because they keep saying such selfish things, I have no intention of responding. I report everything to Kevin, and I ignore them. If they continue to be so persistent, I'll block them next time. Living a life without dealing with liars is truly blissful. A few weeks later, Kevin and I moved out of the weekly apartment and now live happily in our new home. Of course, we also took in my mother-in-law, and the three of us live happily together. Recently, it's become a little trend for my mother-in-law and me to go for walks to the nearby park when she's feeling well. Her rehabilitation is going well, and soon she'll be able to walk without a cane. Kevin is also planning to come home a little earlier tonight. I'm planning to make lots of his favorite dishes and wait for him. How did you like today's story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Well then, let's meet again in the next video.
I'm sleeping with Daddy.
I was bewildered by the words of my 5-year-old granddaughter. That was because we were at a graveyard. She had collapsed in a tattered state in front of the grave of my son, who had lost his life in an accident. Moreover, it seemed as if she had been staying there for several days. "Where's Mommy?" She looked at me with a confused expression.
She's with my little brother and my new daddy.
Eventually, she began to tell me what had happened, tears streaming down her face. Seeing her like this made me feel a tightening in my chest. How could they leave such a young child alone like this? Additionally, the horrifying truth came to light, and I rose up for revenge. Maggie, that's me, had struggled with infertility well into my early 30s. Then, 32 years ago, at the age of 36, I finally conceived and gave birth to my long-awaited child, whom I named Danny. I cherished my only son and raised him with all my love and care. When Danny turned 32, he came to me with some news.
I'm getting married.
I'm glad. Your father in heaven would be delighted too.
I'll come visit to introduce her soon.
And when my son arrived, he brought with him Sharon, a quiet 28-year-old woman. Please take care of Danny.
Yes, and I appreciate your kindness.
I found her to be a genuinely sincere person. Sharon and I would get along without any trouble between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. I thought so, but after Danny and Sharon got married, a year later, they had their first child, Anna, and then 2 years after that, their son Hugo was born. However, I hardly got to see Hugo at all. When Anna was born, I used to visit my son's house frequently, but after the birth of their second child, I was forbidden from going there.
I'm sorry, Mom. Sharon says she gets stressed when you come over.
Danny's words hit me like a punch to the gut. I hadn't realized that my frequent visits to my son's family were unknowingly causing stress for my daughter-in-law. Filled with remorse, I stopped visiting their house. There was one occasion when my son came alone to our house, but after that, we drifted apart from each other. One day, out of the blue, I got a call from my daughter-in-law, Sharon.
Maggie. Danny fell into the sea.
She choked back tears as she revealed something shocking to me. What? What do you mean? That's not possible.
Well, actually.
To summarize what my daughter-in-law told me, my son went out alone for a fishing trip, which was his hobby, and accidentally fell into the sea and lost his life. There were no eyewitnesses, but his fishing gear was found at the scene, indicating that there was likely no one around to rescue him. Additionally, it was discovered that there was a hole under the arm of the life jacket my son was wearing, which he might not have noticed.
From the fishing spot, the thermos I gave him was missing. I thought it might be cold near the sea, so I gave it to him.
Perhaps he dropped it into the sea, and while trying to retrieve it, he accidentally fell in? As I said my thoughts, my daughter-in-law, still crying, murmured,
"That's possible."
According to Sharon, the police, upon hearing her account, treated it as a tragic accident. I hurried to my son's family's house, but my daughter-in-law seemed too shocked to do anything. So, I took charge of all the arrangements and ended up being the chief mourner. What will happen to Sharon, Anna, and Hugo from now on? Even though I lived separately, I was deeply shocked by the news. I couldn't imagine the immense pain my daughter-in-law and grandchildren, who lived with him, must be feeling. For their sake, I managed to prepare for the funeral and somehow get through it. However, 1 month after my son's death, things took a dramatic turn. When I visited the grave for the 1-month anniversary of his death, I witnessed something unbelievable. Huh? Someone's collapsed in front of Danny's grave. It was a small child, around 5 years old, wearing tattered clothes with mud stains, and there were holes here and there. "Hey, are you okay?" When I helped the child up, I realized it was someone I knew well. Huh? Anna?
Oh, Grandma.
My granddaughter Anna, with her eyes half open, was covered in mud from head to toe, to the point where she was almost unrecognizable. Tear streaks marked her cheeks. "Why did you collapse here like this?" As I wiped her face with a wet handkerchief, Anna shook her head.
I didn't collapse. I was sleeping with Daddy.
As soon as she said those words, tears welled up in her eyes again. What on earth was my daughter-in-law Sharon doing, leaving Anna at Danny's grave? "Where's Mommy?"
With my brother Hugo, at our new Daddy's place.
What? I was completely taken aback. This news about a new dad was completely unexpected, and I hadn't heard a word about it from my daughter-in-law. Despite feeling bewildered by this sudden revelation, my priority was Anna. I brought her back to my home and decided to feed her. "You must be hungry after being out there. Eat as much as you want." However, my granddaughter just stared silently at the steaming bowl of soup in front of her.
I hope Hugo isn't hungry.
With those few words, spoken softly, my heart filled with sadness. "I'm sure he'll be okay. Anna, you need to eat and get strong so you can see Hugo."
Okay.
With those words, my granddaughter, awkwardly laughing, picked up his spoon and began to eat. And once Anna got full and calmed down, I decided to hear the full story. Listening to her story, I trembled with anger as I learned the truth my daughter-in-law had hidden. I will never forgive this. I will avenge Danny and Anna. Fuming with rage, I vowed revenge and stood up. First things first, I needed to find out where my daughter-in-law was. I went to the house where my son and his wife used to live, but it had already been sold and was empty. However, I was able to find a new lead from there. There's no mail in the mailbox. That means they submitted a change of address, right? To receive mail and other deliveries, it was necessary to submit a change of address notification and transfer the resident registry. So, My next step was to visit the municipal office to inquire about the resident registry. As a result, I got her new address and Sharon's current situation. Since her last name hasn't changed, it means she's just cohabiting with the other man. I secretly headed to my daughter-in-law's new address and visited people living nearby to ask about them. According to the neighbors, my daughter-in-law and her new partner didn't have a very good relationship with the neighborhood. Furthermore, it turned out that a nosy neighbor had been investigating and had found out the true identity of the new partner. Combining this with what Anna had told me, I came to a certain conclusion. That Danny crossed over to the other side wasn't because of an accident. However, finding evidence was difficult since the incident happened at sea, where fingerprints and other evidence would have been washed away. My son's body had already been cremated, so there was no way to examine it. At this point, I have no choice but to take a gamble. I devised a plan to uncover the truth about the incident. The next day, after making all the necessary preparations, I headed to Sharon's new address.
Hello. What? Maggie?
My daughter-in-law, who answered the doorbell, seemed completely off guard and looked startled the moment she saw my face. Ignoring her reaction, I said firmly, "I'm coming in." I quickly entered the house.
Hey, who the hell is this old hag?
So, you're the new dad Anna mentioned. Nice to meet you. I found my daughter-in-law, the man, and my grandson Hugo there. After making sure that Hugo was sleeping peacefully, I turned my attention to my daughter-in-law. Sharon, if you had found a new partner besides Danny, you should have told us.
Huh. Oh, well, ha.
She pulled her face with a forced smile. The man, who seemed to realize I was Danny's mother from my words, remained sprawled on the sofa. So, did you have this new boyfriend while you were still married to Danny, or did you start seeing him after Danny passed away? Things will change depending on that.
Well, obviously after Danny passed away, isn't it? Jack here has been comforting me since I was lonely.
Are you sure? There's no going back on this.
What are you trying to say? Now that Danny's gone, I don't think it matters where I am or what I'm doing.
She retorted, her voice becoming strained as she seemed to grow uncomfortable with my suspicion. Well, if Danny's death was truly an accident. I could hear Sharon swallowing hard. Here we go. This is the moment of truth. To corner my daughter-in-law and her partner, I decided to lay out everything I had found about the new daddy. That man there works at a strip club, doesn't he? It's been confirmed that you frequented that club.
What's your point? Even I need a change of pace sometimes. With 2 kids to take care of and all the stress, what's wrong with that?
But you ended up having a relationship with him while accompanying that stripper, Jack, there. She avoided my gaze, sweating trickling down her forehead. I met Anna. She was sleeping in front of Danny's grave while crying. I said, trying to maintain as much composure as possible while looking at her. I found it strange. Why did you take Hugo with you, but left Anna behind? Sharon couldn't bear my gaze and squeezed her eyes tight shut. Surely, she had realized that I had uncovered the truth. Anna is Danny's child, but Hugo is Jack's child, right? That's why only Anna, who shares Danny's blood, was left behind at the grave.
And where's the evidence for that?
Jack suddenly interjected, his voice rising in anger as he challenged me. Perhaps he thought Sharon was incapable of handling the situation on her own. We could easily find out with a parentage test.
Shit.
Jack's response was choked as I said that. Anna told me that Sharon often brought a stripper home while Danny was away. Furthermore, I revealed the information I had got from my granddaughter. Apparently, Sharon even introduced this man to Hugo as his new daddy. Moreover, that stripper there was the one who punctured Danny's life jacket.
Cut it out.
Jack rose from the sofa kicking the table, and yelled at me.
Do you think the police will act just based on a kid's words?
Yeah, that's right. Just the words of that kid won't be enough evidence.
Sharon retorted, emboldened by the host's words, and pushed back assertively.
If you're so desperate to turn Danny's accident into a case, then show some other evidence.
I fell silent, bowing my head and avoiding eye contact. Perhaps seeing that I couldn't retort.
See? This old hag is making baseless accusations without any evidence.
Jack sneered triumphantly.
What should we do? If you keep treating us like criminals, we could complain about you to the police.
Danny's insurance money won't fall into your laps. As I said it quietly, the stripper and Sharon exchanged surprised looks. Actually, my son visited our home alone while he was still alive. At that time, he said to me,
I want you to keep this.
And handed me a key to a safe deposit box. In the chaos of his passing and the subsequent funeral, I completely forgot about it. However, after hearing Anna's story, I began to wonder. So, for the first time, I opened that safe deposit box. There were documents for a life insurance policy and a letter in the box. In the letter, it said,
I've changed the beneficiary to you, Mom. Lately, Sharon's been spending money recklessly, and I can't leave anything for the kids. If anything happens to me, I want you to use it for them.
It seems Danny didn't know about your lavish spending at the strip club until the very end.
What?
My daughter-in-law was speechless, standing frozen. But the stripper, noticing her reaction, suddenly changed his demeanor.
Hey, this isn't what we agreed on. I helped you out because you promised to share the insurance money with me.
Hold on, there must be some mistake.
How do you plan to pay off the debt that has been piling up?
As Sharon and the stripper, Jack, got into a lover's spat, I took the opportunity for a turnaround. Finally, you showed your true colors. What I held up was a voice recorder that I had hidden in my pocket. As soon as they saw it, they turned pale. All your confessions are recorded in this. If I submit this to the police, it's game over for you.
No way. Sharon, don't let that old hag leave this house.
Sharon, still pale-faced, stepped forward and blocked my path towards the front door.
Now, hand over that recorder, or I'll bury you in the mountains.
Just as Sharon and Jack moved to silence me, the front door burst open with force, and police officers stormed in. You thought I'd recklessly come here without any precautions? I had already called the police beforehand.
Damn it.
The stripper and Sharon gritted their teeth in frustration as they were restrained by the police and escorted into the police car and taken away. Afterward, the two were arrested. The stripper Jack confessed to pushing my son into the sea. The police promised to launch a reinvestigation into Danny's case. Additionally, Sharon was also charged with neglecting her duty of care to Anna. With this, I believe my son in heaven can rest assured. I've decided to take in Anna and Hugo, and we're starting a new life together as a family. They're still young and lively at the ages of 5 and 3. Although I'm busy, I'm enjoying fulfilling days.